So he clears off, and I think to myself, I wonder. So I spin the old VFO, and sure enough, I hear an FM signal. I switch over to FM, and I hear Dave saying, well, what do you think, Ray? He's got a hell of a signal, don't you think? And Ray's like, yeah, he's all right. Nothing great. I think he's okay. But, I mean, and Dave's like, what are you talking about? He's 30 and 40 over S9, and he's 300 miles away. Well, yeah, he had a pretty good signal, but he's got a big antenna. He's running in, kilowatt. He should have a big signal. And Ray's like blowing it off like it's like I'm chopped liver. So then I go up like 10 kcs and I tune up real quick and I come back and I said, what are you talking about? What do you mean mediocre? Are you calling me mediocre? I said, I suspect that I'm stronger I'm stronger to you. I'm stronger to 90% of the people that are on here that are your neighbors than you are. Okay? So that's how it's going to be. Okay? So, and then sure enough, everybody said I was stronger. So, and that's how it started. And then I threw the gauntlet out. Okay, who's going to be stronger? So now you'll hear us on here at nighttime, and I don't care if I'm stronger than Tim or Tom or Buck or Lucy Lou. I don't care, as long as I'm stronger than Ray. That's all that matters. So I'm going to go have my dinner, you guys. See you in a little while. KB2ZVP.
Okay, Randy, go enjoy your supper. Then we'll talk to you later. KE1MI.
All right, 73 Randy, N3VW.
Okay, Greg. Okay, Stan. See you guys later. Yeah, stop back, and we'd, always welcome. And if you guys could make it to the world famous Toad Harbor Summit on June 15th, well, that would be awesome. We'd love that. 73 for now. KB2ZVP.
N1 DVL, where is everybody? You mean everybody's gone?
Well, it's Saturday night. I ain't got nobody.
So where is everybody?
Oh, I don't know. We were waiting for whomever to get every last milliwatt out of their radio. WG2E.
Well, I was in here calling and nobody was answering, so I figured I'd play.
You got every last milliwatt?
Yeah, at the drive level I'm running, yeah.
Okay, good for you. Took the tuner apart today and made up the special grease. I couldn't see really any difference from the stuff I had put on there, but I cleaned all the old stuff off and cleaned it all up, and seems to be working good.
Well, you know, the one thing I noticed on mine, when I put the new grease on it, the crank turns much easier.
Oh, yeah, mine did too. And when I put the first stuff on, because it actually never had grease on it to begin with. And I went back and looked in the assembly instructions and everything, and it never even had any or even told you to put any on. So it made a big difference.
Yeah, well, mine, you know, when you're turning the crank, it has about half the drag it used to have. So it's much better. Plus, it doesn't make any noise on the receiver.
Yeah, it seems to be better there for that too. And then I got a syringe and I put some 020 that I had in it, synthetic oil, and I got way down into where I couldn't really drip oil on the capacitors and the roller inductors, and now that it's just smooth as glass now.
Oh, that's good.
I was had the radio on a little bit there while I was watching the news, and Randy gave the whole story of the how the Toad Harbor net came to be. I'm sure glad all that lightning is gone.
Yeah, it was pretty bad here last night. During the other day, a couple days ago, it was real bad, and it was here last night too. I disconnected, and there was lightning going off.
Yeah, on the band scope here, every time there's a lightning hit, there's a big long straight line across it and keeps going down the waterfall, and the waterfall's dead black tonight.
So can you notice a difference in the color, just the colors on the display now?
I don't know. I think it's, pretty much looks the same, but the background is really black, where it was maybe not quite so black on the first one.
Yeah, okay. Well, supposedly that's not the cure either.
Yeah, from what I gathered, that it's the original manufacturer replacement screen. So, we'll just have to see how it goes. If this gives me any grief, I'll just have to bitch them out and see if I can get one of the new ones.
That's right, I would. They better come across and fix all those problems. They built it like that. That was, like I said, there are too many problems with that.
Well, as long as they fix it. I've been buying new cars since 1976, and geez, I've probably been back, 10, 12 or more times for recalls and things, so stuff doesn't work all the time first time.
But it doesn't cost you any money for a recall.
Well, no, but, this costs me shipping.
I'm talking about the cars.
Well, yeah, but this theoretically didn't cost me any money to get it repaired. It wasn't really a recall, but then it was a warranty thing. But yeah, I had wiper motors and wiring things and relays and all sorts of things I've had recalled over the years. I just hope I don't get those airbags that throw shrapnel in your face.
Yeah, that's great, huh? I don't like airbags. I suppose they're good in a lot of ways, but all I know is they kind of scare me.
Well, yeah, one of my buddies, his daughter rear-ended a car, not going very fast and not very hard, but the airbag went off and she ended up with black eyes.
Oh yeah, they can kill you. People have gotten killed with airbags. They go off with quite a force. Broken arms, stuff like that.
Well, I think my car's got like 10 of them. They come out of everywhere. They come out of the A pillar and the B pillar and up above the windshield and out of the seats and all sorts of places.
Well, I think you should take it down the road and roll it and see how many you can get to come out.
Yeah, I'll be like the boy in the bubble, and I'll just walk away from it.
No, you'll suffocate from all the airbags.
Yeah. Well, basically, that's an explosion, that blows them up that quick.
Yeah, I know. They're fast, too. Because you ever see a slow motion, film accident? The car hits the barrier, and the bag explodes, and the person hasn't even started moving yet.
Yeah, well, when I worked in a steel mill, we used to make steel for a company that made those igniters for the airbags.
Okay. You worked in a steel mill? Where?
In Watervliet, New York. When I first got hired there, it was called Allegheny Ludlam. Then it was bought out, and it was called Altec after that. And I worked there for 23 years.
And what happened? What is it now?
It's nothing but empty old buildings and a super fun polluted site. It went out of business, well, let me think. I want to say maybe around 2000 or so, a Spanish outfit bought the extrusion department, and they just ran that. And that went for 4 or 5 years. So I don't think it's probably the mid-2000s the last time it ran.
Yeah, we got to get all the steel mills back here.
Well, that was a good job. I went. I started there in 1974, and the lowest class pay was Class 2, and that was $4.35 an hour, and that was the rate that I started there for just a laborer's job, and it was like more than double what I was making before. It was like I died and went to heaven, and I learned a lot of stuff. All the stuff I learned about engines and mechanics and diesels and all that, hydraulics, everything, I learned that in there, being a mechanic in the garage. I passed the test well enough to get in there as a mechanic, and the rest of it I just picked up by doing it.
That's only $174 a week.
Well, considering that minimum wage was like $1.80 an hour.
Oh, it doesn't seem like a lot of money.
But that was Class 2. That was the lowest pay you could get. Most of the other jobs would be, like, say, just a machine operator or something, not a technical one, but, running a saw or something, would be Class 8 or Class 10, which could have been, $6 or $7. And plus there was incentive. Everything was worked on like time study, and everything you did had so much time tied to it. So to get your 100% for a day, you needed to get 480 minutes. That's your 8 hours. And anything over that, you'd get paid bonus. So when I was like running a cutoff saw, I could get 200%. Pretty easy, just working hard, and that was worth an extra $33 a shift,
Yeah, now you're in the big bucks.
Well, it was good money. When I started there in the mid-70s, there was guys working up in the melt shop that were making $150,000 a year.
Oh wow, that's real big money back then.
Yeah, it was, So I started there, and I bought new stereos, and I bought new cars and all that kind of stuff, and got me my first house and all that. So, and I'm still getting my pension from there. I've been getting that since 1997. WG2E.
And 3 RMR.
Well, we have everybody in here at once. WG2E. Go ahead.
Well, that's me. That's who I'm talking to. And hello, Mark.
Good evening.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know why you came in there. You were just signing. Okay, N1DBL. Go ahead, Mark.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mark. Being a Pennsylvania guy, you must have something to do with steel mill somewhere.
Oh, Bethlehem Steel's just up the street from me here, about 4 miles, 3 or 4 miles in Steelton. Yeah, not even that far. And that was basically the steel that built the Golden Gate Bridge.
Wow. We made some steel. Remember when back in the 80s they rebuilt the Statue of Liberty? Well, we made all these stainless steel angles and things that they used inside of that to beef that up.
And there's a story of why the Golden Gate Bridge ended up being golden. Would you like to hear that story?
Not golden. Red.
Rust.
Well, how it worked out was The Golden Gate Bridge was actually going to be like a mauve green, a dab green, like for military green. But the steel was made at Bethlehem Steel here in Steelton, Pennsylvania. However, they put a like a goldish yellow covering on the metal to keep corrosion down. And when they built the bridge, it had that color from the steel plant on it. And then they were going to go ahead and paint it. So they painted it the green at the military that built it, the Army Corps of Engineers. They painted it a green, and the people were so appalled at the green color that they did not like. They wanted to go back to the gold color that had come from the steel plant originally. Of course, they didn't realize that it was actually the anti-corrosion coating, so they had to go back and repaint the entire bridge and match that color that came from Bethlehem Steel.
Oh, so now we know.
A little piece of history in my backyard.
I know they have a complete machine shop underneath the bridge somewhere that builds parts for it all the time. So they're always watching what's rusting and what they need, and they build a new part and they install it.
That's a very good idea.
What's that show, Men at Work or something? The guy that Mike Rowe does all the Dirty Jobs. That's the name of it. I think they had him in one of those where the guy goes inside the bridge and inspects it and paints the rust and stuff.
Well, I got a question, and here's my question. Why don't they make bridges out of real good stainless steel that doesn't corrode at all? Why?
Do you know how expensive that would be?
Well, yeah, it doesn't cost that much more. Okay, so let's say it cost twice as much. But just think, they'd never have to paint it, and it would never rust.
It ain't strong enough.
Well, how are you going to get some sort of disaster movie out of a bridge that never collapses?
Yeah, you're probably right there on the strength, because the rusty kind of steel would have a much higher carbon content in it, which might make it stronger.
I think they have stainless steel now that's just as good. They make guns out of stainless steel. They make gun barrels out of stainless steel.
I got a couple.
Right, and that doesn't seem to have a problem.
I got 2 Rugers in stainless steel.
Yeah, revolvers or autos?
I got a 22 auto and a 38 revolver.
Yeah, I got a cheap special stainless steel too. They were really, really good quality stainless. You can leave them in water; they won't rust. They're really good.
Oh, I'm loving this beverage.
Did they didn't they have a stainless Mini 14 KC1RS?
Yes, and I was going to buy one, and I went over there and I played with it, and it felt like it had sand in it. I mean, you pull back the bolt and you work the bolt, and it felt like you just put beach sand in it. And I called Ruger up, and I said, man, that gun's terrible. I mean, it feels like there's in it. And he says, well, that's the way stainless steel is. But he said, we have a full warranty, and I never bought one. Because the military, because I knew a guy in the military that had connections to all this stuff, and the military's been trying to buy a stainless steel weapon basically since they were buying guns. And none of the stainless steel holds up.
For the same reason they don't make bridges out of it.
Well, I don't know. Usually it galls, especially in an auto, any type of an auto. When you put stainless on stainless, it galls and it makes a mess, and that's why they don't use it. But, you can combine stainless with something else, and then it's okay.
So this afternoon I ran my East-West beverage.
And?
So far I'm liking the results.
Nice and quiet today, though.
Yeah, I can get rid of my streetlight starter noise. I can hear you guys. You come right up out of the noise floor, and it's not even there.
My noise blanker can get rid of the ones around here pretty easy.
The one on this works pretty good too, but then when you get like strong voice signals, it kind of puts like a little raspiness into the voice, and I don't really like that.
Best noise blanker ever made on any ham radio ever, at least the ones I've had, was the 7600. That noise blanker is just incredible.
Ray, I'm crazy in love with the one on the 7300. I'm telling you, I got 5 over S9 racket coming in, and I can knock it right out.
I think you're lucky.
That, you know, like,
because I can't believe the 7610's any worse.
The width and depth
and the 7610 noise blanker is nowhere near as good as the 7600.
Back in a minute. WG2E.
Where's Bob? Are you in here, Tootie?
Yep, I'm here. Hi, Ray.
I could feel your presence.
I'll tell you, you read more about the aliens and all of the stuff going on. I think you may have been visited and just don't know it and been implanted.
Maybe that's where all my wisdom comes from. But I read that latest book there by the sergeant. What's his name? Do you know his name?
No, it's not getting to me.
Well, I just got somebody on here. Randy said his guy was sending him a book, and he told him to read it. And he said that's the real story, Randy's connection there. And I got the book and I read it, and I thought it was just hokey. To me, it just sounds like it's a totally made up hokey. It's so hokey that it almost tells you it's got to be true, because nobody would write a book that stupid.
Yeah, that's usually when. It's just interesting that all of the debunking things. What got me, and this is going back a couple of years ago, I started doing a little digging around for the deep black budget and stuff like that. The actual number is classified, but they're talking, the black budget is in the hundreds of trillions, and you basically, you figure this was back, I'm thinking early 2000s, late 1990s. The deep black spending was $100 million a day on deep black programs. And so these are, so if you look at the classified stuff, there's the legal classified stuff for national security and all that. Then there's all this other stuff that is the unacknowledged special access programs that only a very select few people, no elected officials, have access to. I mean, the appointee, maybe the director of Central Intelligence, is aware of it, but even there, so it's pretty interesting.
Is the president aware of it?
Nope. Several presidents have tried to get access, and they were denied because they don't have a need to know, and they are a temporary employee. They are on a term position, and so that excludes them from access.
So then who decides when to use the secret weapon?
Well, that's the question, Ray. And, guys like Snowden and others who go to blow the whistle, some have said the mistake that Snowden made was, instead of just focusing on disclosing all the illegal black activities that are going on, he blew the whistle on legal, the stuff that can be legal, national security and things like that. And, but the question is, who? That's the whole thing. There's a shadow government, and that's the whole premise on the whole unacknowledged special access programs. It's plausible, and the standard way of debunking it is to call anybody a cuckoo who tries to get into it. So it's kind of interesting.
Well, I know those triangular spacecraft that people see flying around a lot. I'm very sure they belong to the United States.
Well, that Project Aurora was mention of that snuck out in the budget hearing before Congress, and then they had to very hurriedly come up with an excuse for what it was, and it disappeared, and nobody ever talked about it again.
Yeah, I don't think Aurora was such a big deal. It was like an 8,000 mile an hour plane. And I think it had a very long range, and I probably went up to like 100. I've heard rumors that it would fly at about 140 or 150,000 feet at 8,000 miles an hour, and it had a huge range. You know, it was so fast that it could probably fly 8 or 10,000 miles before it had to land. And but that's still nothing like the flying saucer stuff, where they can be sitting right in front of you, and all of a sudden, poof, they're 40 miles down range in 1 second.
I'm back. WG2E.
Yeah, being able to not have to deal with inertia and being able to have that drive that is able to redefine your coordinate system, and you basically translate through space, but what you see in your reference system is the outside moves past you. You don't move through it, and so therefore you don't have any of the inertia, G loadings, anything like that. So it's you're getting, relativistic and special relativity on that stuff, and so, what they call gravity drive, so-called, and there's just a lot of stuff that isn't disclosed, I think.
Boy, you've been paying attention to all this stuff, haven't you?
Actually, it's intriguing to me, and it's interesting. The biggest thing that intrigues me is you've got, what got my attention was very, very highly screened and highly trained and very reliable astronauts and military pilots. And when they come up with a way of debunking them, saying, they confused it with Venus or it was marsh gas. So when they start doing stuff like that, then I go, yeah, something's going on. But when you get highly reliable people like that, given accurate descriptions, then something's up.
Well, it's interesting because some of the stuff I have personally seen on television, you only see one time. I saw one where one of the astronauts, and I don't know which one it was. I should have wrote this stuff down, but there were 3 astronauts up in the beginning of the Apollo program. And one of the guys, the commander, looks out the window, and they're in orbit with some kind of a spaceship, something that wasn't from the Earth. And I may have told you this story because I've told it a couple times, but he was so careful. He said to his next guy, and this is where I said about the order thing. He turned to the center guy, and he said, I'm giving you an order to look out the window and tell me if you see something. Don't tell me what you see, but tell me if you see something. And the guy looked out the window and he said, yes, I see something. And he said same thing to the third guy. And then he looked out and he said, yeah, I see something too. So then he goes back to the second guy. And this was the astronaut himself telling this story on television. And then he goes back to the second guy. Okay, tell me what you see. Well, I see a spacecraft that looks like this. Yep. Third guy. Yep, same thing. That's what I see too. Hand me the Hasselblad. They took 4,000 pictures of this thing until they ran out of film and movie film, and then that film disappeared and nobody ever saw one picture.
Yeah, that was the case of the missing Hasselblad. Interesting.
And this was one of the top of the line astronauts on, being interviewed on one of these shows telling this story. Now, does anybody believe the guy's lying?
Yeah, so I know there was Harrison Schmitt. He's been pretty vocal about he was Buzz Aldrin, Gordon Cooper, and there was a couple of others. Conrad, but I don't want to say for sure. But I mean, in very detailed descriptions of what they saw.
It was obviously swamp gas when they were over Georgia.
Yeah, swamp gas or Venus. That's the one that gets me. Okay, you get an F-104 pilot. You can't tell the difference between Venus, a stationary planet, and something that's exhibiting non-aerodynamic motion. Yeah, really good.
Well, don't forget, he couldn't catch it with his F-104, so it had to be Venus. It's the only logical explanation.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see, the F-104, the first aircraft capable of Mach II in level flight, so, and especially designed to intercept, and so, that had to have been it. The fastest plane we had, couldn't catch it, so the pilot had to have been misoriented, disoriented, or just, incompetent. Although, being a old F-104 pilot pretty much means you're probably one of the best pilots around.
Yeah, if you're still alive.
Yeah, it's one of the guys I worked with from Boeing said what Lockheed was able to do with the F-104, what the Army Air Force couldn't do in World War II, and that was kill half of the German pilots after we gave them all the F-104s.
Yeah, and that was a tricky airplane, I guess. Well, those little tiny wings. I guess you got to be kind of careful when you're landing that thing.
Yeah, the wing tanks were famous for rolling up the wing and then taking out the empennage in that tank.
Rockets, but it was basically designed as a high-altitude interceptor, able to climb to high altitude and go fast in the late air, and then they try to fly at nap of the earth. I remember being in Germany and watching right down the Rhine River Valley, 2 German F-104s, wingtip to wingtip, no more than 300 feet above the ground, just screaming along. And I'm going, that's a plane that doesn't like to be around the edge of the air. It was made for high altitude, and, we're trying to use it as air to ground, and, just not, and it's not a dogfighter. It's a straight line, launch a missile, and get to a point from point A to point B. Anyway, I'm rambling here. KT Tootie.
Go ahead, Russ. What did you say?
Yeah, the wing tanks on those had a nasty habit of rolling up the wing and hitting the fuselage, and sometimes they take out the tail.
What do you mean? They'd come off in a turn?
No, when if they popped the tanks in order to fight, like if they wanted to eject the tanks would roll up the wing and then hit the fuselage, and sometimes they'd hit the tail. It was they had to put little different fins on the ends of the tanks in order to keep them from doing that.
I didn't know those tanks came off.
Oh yeah, the most of the peacetime and domestic wing tanks are made out of heavy-duty metal, and they're designed to be used over and over. But the ones that they use in combat, they're made out of really, really thin metal, and they can't take any G's. And they're designed as soon as you engage, you pop the tank.
Now, weren't those tanks right on the ends of the wing?
Yeah, on the 104 they were.
And they still come off without causing a problem?
After they redesigned them.
Yeah, there's a couple of good clips. If you had a computer, Ray, go to YouTube. And a bunch of my Air Force guys send me stuff about wing stores and bombs that would come down out of it, like even in an open bomb bay in certain conditions. they hit the airstream and then go slamming right back up into the bomb bay or a wing store, either a drop tank or even a heavy 700-pound bomb off a wing pylon, coming down, catching the air just right, nosing up and going right back up into the wing. Pretty amazing. Or taking one of the tail horizontal stabilizers off. A couple of F-111 clips of that happening. A wing store coming off, going down, and then nosing back up, and then taking one of the horizontal stabilizers right out. They've been a bunch of redesigns on that stuff. It's pretty dicey.
Yeah, and the funny thing is they don't come off that rack with gravity. They've got initiators that blow them off the rack and push them out of the overcenter mechanisms, and they extend down a good bit, and they still have problems with them, especially if you're not flying at the right attitude.
Yeah, when I would talk with a couple of the guys I talked with, mostly F-4s and F-16s that were dropping stuff, and they said, yeah, you had to be in the right thing, or you had to be pulling slightly positive Gs or something, and they had to be really careful about what they're doing and the airflow. Otherwise, you get into real trouble. And I kind of said, oh yeah, really? And then I saw some of these clips of it, and I'm going, holy! And there was one of them where. They were dropping. There was a bomb off a wing, one of the F fighters, and the bomb goes sideways. And there's a chase plane, off the wingtip, and it goes over and takes out the chase plane. And it wasn't a missile; it was just a bomb that caught the wind just right, took an angle, and going pretty amazing.
Have you ever seen that clip of the B-24 Liberator bombing Flow Este Oil Works, and the wing just breaks off?
Yeah, that was flak, wasn't it? Didn't it get hit by flak, Ray, or was that just a structural failure?
I've seen that 1,000 times, and I always wondered. And then I saw it. Somehow they showed that in very slow motion, and that plane got hit by a bomb from a plane up above.
So that's what I know. That's a pretty famous clip. But you imagine you're going along. Okay, how do I land without a vertical stabilizer, a horizontal tail? Okay, I lost my right wing. Come on. There's not much you can do with that.
Nope, you probably can't even get out of the plane. They were low to the ground too. They were not very high. They were only, they looked like they were about maybe 1,000, 2,000 feet tops.
Yeah, an F-4 can fly with the outer half, the part of the wing that's got dihedral. That folding section, the plane will fly without one of those.
You ever see the F-15 lost most of the wing, and the guy was able to land it?
Yeah, that was an Israeli jet.
Oh, that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, there was an Israeli did an F-15, and there was that woman pilot in Iraq that had almost the whole tail of her A-10 shot away, and she was able to bring that thing back.
Well, we had a D model that collided with his wingman, and he lost the outer half of one of his wings, and tore the fuel tank off of the other plane. They both made it back, but I can't imagine what goes on in your head when you're looking out there and half your wing's missing and you got fuel streaming out of there. And but we had a plane that had the afterburner section explode, and it's J-79, and it blew the engine bay door apart, and it took out the left stabilator completely. And those guys were they were pretty scared, but they didn't know what happened. They couldn't see back there, and when they saw it after they landed, they were kissing the ground.
Yeah, no kidding. Because the plane's probably stable, flying at 200, 300 miles an hour. But when they come down to land, that's when they're going to get into trouble.
Yeah, the worst thing about with an F4 when you try to land it, if you have split flaps, you either bolt that thing and catch a cable, or you punch out. You don't have any other choice. As soon as you get critical, that thing's going to flip over and go upside down on you, and that's the end of you. And it's happened a few times.
That was kind of a cruddy airplane.
What do you mean, Ray? Old Double Ugly? Just proof that even a brick can fly if you give it enough thrust.
Yeah, true. But that just wasn't a very good airplane. I'm surprised they ever made that thing anyway.
Well, it was, you look at it, I didn't realize until I looked close at an F-101, the Voodoo, it was really a predecessor, and you can see a lot of the, lines in it. But that was one of those, like the F-111 and the A-7, where they wanted all the services to have the same plane. So it was a carrier plane, it was air-to-air, it was a sling fighter that could do 8 or 9 different missions: Air Force, Navy, air-to-ground, intercept, interdiction, and it's just hard to do that. Do you know Russell, it was the latest model, the D model? I remember looking at the specs of that thing. Fully, max gross weight on that thing was over 70,000 pounds. That's 35 tons. That's like a Bradley A3, an up-armored Bradley with the add-on armor on it. It's just 35 tons.
And that was which plane?
The F4.
No, I think it was 58,000. At least the D models I was working with, and the later ones, even though they had the higher Mark 70 J79s, they didn't have that much more thrust. But the gross takeoff weight for ours was 58,000, and empty they weighed 29 to 30,000 pounds. Empty. That's with all the fluids drained out of them. I mean, nothing in them. Like they're full hydraulic fuel load, topped up, but no fuel. We would hot gas the fuel out of them and do a weight and balance on them, and they still weighed 15 tons.
What are they made out of? Steel?
Aluminum and titanium, mostly.
Well, that was an awful heavy airplane.
Yeah, you're right, Russ. The one I was thinking, that's right. They were almost 60,000 pounds, so 30 tons. It was the F-14. It was the D model F-14 that topped out, fully loaded with bombs, fuel. Max takeoff was like 70,000 pounds. I was just going, you got to be kidding me.
That's a big, big airplane. I just saw one down at the Bradley Air Museum. They have an F-14 in there, and that is a really big airplane.
Yeah, it's, you look at an 18 or an F-16 and you look and you say, oh yeah, but the 15s and the 14s both, those are big, big planes. It's deceptive.
And another plane they have down there, which was wonderful to see, was a B-29. That is one beautiful airplane.
Yeah, it really is. And I remember there was one, I think it was Fifi, the one that flies around. There was one that flew into Albany Airport, and I'm probably a couple of miles off the north-south runway of the Albany County Airport, and, not much, less than a mile or two. And I hear something, I go, wait a minute, that's a Warbird look up, and it was a B-29 coming in for a landing. You've got to be kidding me. And what amazed me of that thing is, I thought it was it's just a little bit of an upgrade of a B-17. It's like, twice the size or something, and in several, at least twice the bomb load, and you look at the range and the altitude, that was a huge, increase over the B-17.
They had a B-17 that came into Schenectady Airport there some years ago, and I went over there to see that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, the B-24 had a significantly higher bomb load than the B-17s. The 29s just in the Avro Hawker Siddeley Lancasters. Those things had a huge bomb load too compared to the B-17. So 17s were tough as nails. Everybody liked them because they had high survivability, but they weren't carrying nearly as many bombs as everybody else with 4 engines.
November 1, November Papa Quebec.
You finally get that thing running?
Yeah, it was nothing to do with the radio. It was my stupid computer. For some reason, when I run the audio through the PC, it does it. So I'm just running the audio through the Flex radio. So here, see if you guys can see it.
Yeah, it sounds fine now.
Yeah, you're coming in good and loud and clear as a bell here in Albany, New York area, KT2D.
What kind of sound card do you have on that PC?
For these guys. I tore every single wire out and made sure I didn't have RF. I thought it was an RF issue.
What kind of sound card do you have on that PC?
It's the built-in sound, what's it called? Hold on.
Yeah, you need to get a hold of like Creative Labs or something a little bit better with a high sampling rate. If you're going to run any kind of decent audio through there. I always try to get the best sound cards I get my hands on, because the ones on the boards usually are pretty bad.
Yeah, okay. What's going on? Oh, I know what's wrong.
Too many options.
So what did you think of the B-17, Carl?
Oh, that thing was awesome. They were offering rides in it, and had I had the money and the time, I might have done that. So we got a chance to walk around it and look at it and everything, and then they started it up and took off. It was pretty cool. You know what was really surprising, though, is there was like a big puddle of oil under each engine when it was sitting there parked.
In 3 or more.
Yeah, those radials, they'll do that. I'll tell you, I had a friend, he's still down in Phoenix. I went and visited him. He's part of the Commemorative Air Force, formerly the Confederate Air Force, and in his wing there in Mesa, the Chandler of Mesa, I think it was Mesa, they had a Heinkel HE-111, they had a B-17 and a B-25 and a couple other smaller planes. And when I was out in Indiana, I was in Terre Haute, and at the Terre Haute International Airport, there were a couple of warbirds that came in. There was a B-24, P-51, and a B-17. And what was interesting is they had an open house day, and a lot of the surviving World War II vets and crewmen came out. You see older guys, and there was one guy with his wife there, and he's talking to her, and he's showing her the ball turret. He goes, "Here, honey, this is where I was. I was in the ball turret here." And it was fascinating watching these old vets. And believe it or not, there were a couple of German guys there who were either Focke-Wulf or Messerschmitt pilots, and one of them had a notebook with a bunch of his gun camera pictures, laminated in there, and they were talking to some of the other guys, so they must have had a reunion kind of group nearby. But it was fascinating looking at the old World War II vets. One guy would just walk up to the B-24, and he just put his hand on the skin there for a second. You could tell there were all kinds of memories coming back. It was really quite neat to watch them. It was a kind of a special thing. And climbing in the planes was neat too. KT2D.
Hey, Ray.
Yeah, okay. November 1, November Papa Quebec. So what it was I had my microphone set to DAX settings, and that was doing it.
Hey, Ray, you in there? N1DBL.
In 3 or more.
KC1RS. Where'd you go, Ray? Well, hey, Bob, I hadn't seen an F4 Phantom since I got out of the service a long, long time ago, and I went up to the New England Air Museum there at Bradley Airport, like Ray was just talking about, and they have a D model there, and they're working on it. It's got a long ways to go, and there's no engines in it either. But yeah, it was quite an experience to go up to it, and because you get this big rush of memories, and you're like, wow, okay, it is something else.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I started out in diesel tanks, M60s, and we were someplace, and there was one there, and they said, oh, you can go on in. I go on in, I go in the turret, and I'll tell you, with the smells come back. There's just some characteristic smells, whether it's the hydraulic oil or the paint, and it's amazing how it just brings back those memories. And I saw those guys there. It was neat. So, yeah, the old, so you were in the Air Force, I guess, Russ?
Yeah, from 78 to 82, I was in the 474 TAC Fighter Wing, and we had, when I got there, they were just getting rid of their F-111s, and they were rotating F-4D models in, and then they were, and then they rolled those out after a couple of years, and they brought in F-16s, and they were the first operational F-16 wing. The 388th at Hill was a training wing. They were operational, but they were a training wing. We were the first combat wing.
Where were you stationed?
At the home of the fighter, Nellis Air Force Base, Nevada.
Ah, Nido Torpedo. Tonopah Test Range, or whatever the proper name is. Yeah, I spent a year, 9 months or so at Maxwell Air Force Base. I was going to the Air Commander Staff College, and every now and then planes would come in, and there was the Alabama National Guard had a fighter wing in Selma, and their airfield was being redone, the runway or something, so they were flying out of Maxwell. And it was really neat seeing those. They'd always go out in 2 ships, and they'd come in and do their landings, and it was really neat. And then they were in the process, this was like 87 to 88, and they were in the process of, rolling over their F4s to F-16s. They were going to get that later that year. But that was just a neat plane, neat plane.
Anybody ever been to the War Museum or Warplane Museum there in Geneseo?
No, I haven't. I didn't know there was one there.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get over that way and check it out sometime. Yeah, I guess you can get rides and a lot of too if you got the money.
I grew up in Ohio, and then I had a friend that was a Rio in F-14s in the Navy. But when we used to get when we were back home, because he ended up in the Navy Reserves, but we used to just jump in the car and drive over there from time to time just to walk around, and it was a completely different experience when you're in high school and you go through there and you look at it, and then you go back after you've been working on jets, and like looking at the B-52 there, it just like when I went through training at Shepherd, we worked on all different kinds of planes from T-38s all the way up to B-52s, and it just really takes you back because you're looking at that thing going, yeah, man, I crawled all through a B-52 doing rigging and stuff, and all this stuff that nobody bothers to do anymore because you don't have to.
Yeah, one of the things I was reading about the newer planes, the F-22s and the F-35s, and they were referring to the F-4s, and they were talking about when they went to like F-15s and the 16s with the heads-up display and all of the multi-functions on the stick. They talk about the F4 as it was run by switchology, like the pilot workload. They had to flip all these switches and all this stuff to drop bombs and to fire missiles. It was a huge amount of workload, and then a lot of that stuff got really cleaned up with, as new avionics and stuff comes up. I just thought that was funny, and it reminded me like when I was at I think it was at Pease Air Force Base when that was still going up in New Hampshire, and there was the Thunderbirds came in, but they actually had an F-106 there, and I got to look in the cockpit, and two things amazed me was, A, it's a big plane, no visibility out of the cockpit because it was, an interceptor, but, just the panel was like switches, and it looked like circuit breakers, and I'm going, man, it looked like an engine room in a ship with all of this stuff there. I'm going, man, it's just packed with all kinds of panels and switches. I just thought, geez, how do you fly this thing?
Yeah, the radar set on those things, as those things started getting older, before they started turning them into PQMs, the avionics on them was failing like at a pretty dramatic rate. The used radar in those things was not so good, and the pilots were scared to death to run them for too long for fear they'd overheat them and burn them up. And I got to hang out in the cockpit and look over. We had a red flag exercise going on. There was a reserve unit from upstate New York. I think they flew out of Plattsburgh or something. They had the 106s, and they gave me the grand tour because one of the guys he served in the regulars with one of my sergeants. So they're a beautiful plane, and that's another big jet too. But you're right, all those old planes and the wiring on them, all the relay panels, all the special weapons panels and everything. It was a miracle you could pick a bomb of that thing in a pinch. It was crazy.
Yeah, those are a lot of engineering and design work, but I just can't imagine maintaining those things. I mean, it just had to have been horrendous. Anyway, I can go all night talking about airplanes. I don't want to monopolize it here. I'll shut up, let somebody else get a chance. Good chatting with you on it, Russ. KT Titty.
This is KA2EXB listening.
Hello, Steve. WG2E.
And 1MPQ.
Yeah, good evening. And, boy, it was windy. It looks like it's finally dying down now.
It's been spitting snow up here all day.
Oh, okay. You got any news?
I'm assuming we're still on for breakfast tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, you verified?
Not as yet. Anybody that's in here at the moment, I don't believe is going, but I'm sure we'll find out sooner or later.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll be in and out. I got
that was a headache
for a few minutes, but
anyways,
we'll be here for the
I learned something out of this.
KA2.
You got to make sure your microphone settings on the computer are set to the internal microphone, not the DAX, and that's what was causing it, believe it or not. I don't know if you guys know what DAX is. I guess it's the digital audio interface or something like that, so you can stream your slices out.
Now, you're the one that's boldly going where no one has gone before, and once you get it all figured out, then the rest of us can follow.
Yeah, well, hey, I'd say I'm learning quickly here. But, yeah, I was just worried it was something with the radio. That would have made me not too happy, but radio is fine.
You know what I hate about stuff like that is you spend all that time figuring it out and learning how to do it and everything, and then once it works, you leave it alone and you forget all the steps you took to get there. So somebody will ask you the same thing and you'll go, oh, geez, I don't even remember how I did it now.
And I won't forget this one, that's for sure. Actually, I should post it on the community. I'm sure I'm not the only one in the world that's ever done that.
Well, I've always found with these things, Google is your friend.
Well, I Googled and I didn't find a thing. Where'd everyone run off to?
Oh, I don't know. We just heard a whole bunch of good airplane stories. Maybe everybody's taking a deep breath and getting a drink.
Anyways, I'm running out. Just wanted to let you guys know I got it worked out and fixed, so thank goodness. And maybe if you guys are on when I get back in, I'll jump back in. N1MPQ.
Okay, Bill. Well, you sound really good. No problems on this end.
Band sounds pretty quiet tonight where I am. Usually it's noisy, and the other night it was just crashing like crazy, but it seems pretty quiet. How about where you guys are?
Yeah, it's rock steady, not even going up or down or anything.
I got like an S4 noise level on the loop, which is about as low as I've ever seen it.
Well, after the last few days, it's well-deserved. I couldn't believe the lightning crashes the last few days.
Oh, yeah, yesterday was terrible.
All right, anyways, 7-3, N1MPQ, going clear.
7-3. Bob, you get a lot of noise from the airport? I know I've taken off headed north quite a few times.
No, I'm about. Let me turn off all the other stuff going on here, and let me take a look here. I think it's about an S57. It's going to be noisier than your loop. The loops tend to be quieter. I know my 80-meter loop is. That DC short circuit, I think, helps keep things quiet. Let me take a look at what I get. Yeah, mine's about an S7 right here, which is about as quiet as it gets on this.
Well, I'm listening on my beverage on the ground, and the needle doesn't even come off the pin for that. It's nice and quiet.
Yeah, that might be a nice acquisition down the line for me.
Well, I use it all the time now for receive. Well, just now, you were an S5 on the beverage and about 10 over on the loop.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I think it would help me where I am too, a receive antenna.
Do you have the space there?
Yeah, not much. I can't put I'd probably be able to get 100 and something feet. May not be long enough.
Yeah, the recommendation for my beverage on the ground was 200 to 225, so I made it 210.
Yeah, I'll have to measure diagonal, and then I run the risk of making sure I can get the length in the direction that I want it.
Yeah, mine's kind of basically running east-west, and I could put another one if I wanted to going north and south. I might consider that at some time. But I got 13 acres of land here, but my house is right in one corner. So I got my neighbor on one side and the street on the other side, and all my property pretty much goes in one direction. So it's hard for me to go various directions from the house.
Yeah. See, my lot's about 0.6 of an acre, so I think the longest stretch, like from the road all the way up, which would be hard to do, the way up and back. So I think I can get like 150 feet, something like that. So that wouldn't be enough, I don't think.
Well, wind it around the corner.
Yeah, I can do that. We'll see how that works.
And don't be afraid to make it a little longer.
So I'll do a lazy L, lazy meaning laying on the ground.
We'll try to get it, from where you feed it. That can be on the ground or close, and then get it up into a tree and run the wire across the top of the trees, and then down, and try to get as much wire as you can up top, and have the cable that's pulls on the wire, just made out of Dacron or something with a small weight on it, just enough to keep it in place. And 3/8, 190 was 196 feet, 200, 205, 210. That ought to bring the impedance match good, and it actually should work good on 80 meters too.
Yeah, that one I got. That's not. We were talking about a receive antenna, like a beverage on the ground.
Oh yeah. Well, don't worry about that. Worry about getting your real antenna up.
Yeah, well, that's what you weren't here when I said. The real antenna is the first priority, and then down the line. But yep, I got it all planned. Just need to execute.
Yeah, if we ever get some good weather.
I tell you, I went to pick up a tree at the local Fatigans here, and I'm loading it in my truck, and it's hail. Hail's pelting me with hail. I'm going, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, I had snow and sleet and everything on and off all day today. Nothing stuck, but, it was in the air.
Boy, that really stinks. Where's Randy?
He signed out to go to dinner. There was dinner and a bottle of wine. That's the last I heard of him.
Oh, okay. Where's Mark?
He was here.
Yeah, he was in here. We may have chased him away. Russ and I were having a trip down memory lane with all the World War II through Cold War era aircraft.
Hey, I was looking at the National Warplane Museum. It's in Geneseo, New York. It's at the Geneseo Airport, and I'm looking at the satellite image here on Google Maps, and there's like a P-38 parked out there, and then 3 or 4 other different planes. That might make a nice trip.
Yeah, that'd be a nice one, and we can maybe hit the one in Bradley too, because that may be good. We could have a series of little airplane park trips.
Yeah.
Ray would know about that, wouldn't you, Ray?
Yeah, I've been there 3 or 4 times. So Bradley's got some really nice planes, and another cool plane they have is one of those old flying boats.
Oh, one of the Catalinas or the Venturas, or the other one was, I think, Fairchild made a number of them, like Mars or the Mars aircraft.
I think this was older. I think it's only 2 engines. It's not the Catalina.
Yeah, the Catalinas, there was the Ventura. Yeah, those were some neat planes.
Yeah, they got a lot of. They got a triplane there too, with the triple wings. Just set up like the one you see on TV.
Hey, Ray.
Yeah.
When were you there last?
Well, quite a while. I don't know. I honestly don't know. 5 years, but they had the B-29 there.
Did you? Did they have the F-4 Phantom there? I went there last year with the wife. They had an F-4 Phantom there.
Geez, I don't think so. I don't remember, but they had the 2 new planes they had an F-14 there, and they had the B-29. I thought the B-29 was pretty spectacular. That is an incredible airplane.
Yeah, I seen the one that bombed Nagasaki's at the Air Force Museum, and then the Enola Gay's at the Air and Space Museum in D.C. I haven't been to the annex for the Air and Space Museum yet. I want to get to that one, and but that 29 is beautiful with that pressurized cockpit and everything. Those things are they were a quantum leap in bomber technology at the time.
That's right, and the Ruskies stole one, and they copied every nut and bolt on it. Right now, just took the whole plane apart and just made the entire plane from scratch. Isn't that? Just think of that, what a feat even that is.
You know, the plane I would have liked to have seen fly is a B-36.
Yeah, that would be pretty big, pretty unique too. That was a huge airplane.
Oh, it was monstrous. 6 turning and 4 burning. Pretty neat.
230-foot wingspan. They only just built an airplane bigger than it and flew it the other day.
When that plane first flew, did it have the 2 jet engines on it?
No, those were added on later. At least I've seen pictures of some of the early flights in some films of them, and it just had the 6 pusher props.
I think those jet pods, there were 2 engines in those, wasn't there, Bob?
Yeah, like the ones that later put, there were 2 engine pods on the outboard of the wing. And I don't know when they were added. I just remember seeing, and I don't know if it was like the XB-36 that only had the 6 engines, but I'm pretty sure that by the time it was developed by Convair and given to the Air Force, I think all of the ones that came in the service had the engines and the jet pods on there. But it was a while ago when I read up on it, and I just can't recall it precisely.
Hey, Ray?
Yeah?
When we meet up at the summit, are you going to bring those books for me?
Yeah.
Well, then maybe that one on the Skunk Works Bob would be interested in taking a look at.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll bring them.
Do I need to bring any inert tank rounds so you can look at Sabot rounds, Ray?
Oh yeah, that'd be. Yeah, I don't want to play with the radioactive one.
No, these are all either steel or they're just brass, mock-ups. No, nothing like that. And yeah.
Is this thing on?
Are we still to assume that tomorrow's breakfast is still a go?
Is that Carl? Is this thing on?
It is on.
Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, thank God. I thought I went deaf. W2KRY.
Tomorrow's still a go, is it?
As far as I know, unless no one can make it.
Well, no, I was planning on coming, and I got the electric X-ray beam, was planning on coming with me, or me going with him. We haven't decided that yet.
Cool, man. Yeah, absolutely. As far as I know, it's still going.
And I guess the head toad may show up as well.
Well, I guess. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll have fun either way.
Okay, we'll do it. Hopefully the weather won't be bad. They're talking about snow here tomorrow morning.
I wouldn't be worried about that. Who did I hear in here saying 6 turning, 4 burning?
I think that was Bob.
Bob? Who's Bob? Hey, Bob, this is Randy, the good Randy, W2KRY. Only got 100 watts till I get my new cable. Can you hear me?
Was Randy calling me?
Yeah, it's the good Randy. He asked who was saying about 6 turning and burning or whatever it was. Can you hear him okay?
He's a little bit light, but yeah, that was me saying the 6 turning, 4 burning.
Good enough, Bob. This is Randy, W2KRY. Do you copy W2KRY?
Okay, Randy. Yep, I got you. W2KRY. This is KT2D, Bob.
Oh, yes, Bob. KT2D. Very good. Yeah, I'm a little down on the power right now. I'm only 100 watts. I need a cable to get back up to my 1200. But I heard someone say 6 turning, 4 burning, and as luck would have it, I am from Indiana, Pennsylvania. Do you know how that is significant?
What you said, where, Indiana?
Indiana, Pennsylvania.
Oh, yes, sure.
He doubled a bit.
Oh, yeah, no, I got you.
I grew up in Indiana, Pennsylvania. Do you know how that's significant?
You know, I did it when it's killing me because I know, but go ahead and tell me because it's killing me and I just can't recall.
Well, it just so happens that my grandfather went to school with this tall kid who ended up being some kind of a movie actor and a general, an Air Force general as well. Does that ring a bell?
Is that Curtis LeMay?
Negative. Almost as famous. Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy Stewart. He made a movie and where he actually flew. And if you remember the movie, the Peacemaker, he came up and talked to Colonel Potter. Remember Colonel Potter from MASH? I can't remember his real name now. He was a sergeant on the movie.
Harry Morgan.
There you go.
Yeah, it was Harry Morgan and Jimmy Stewart. It was at Strategic Air Command, I think, and if that was it. But yeah, I remember that, and that's when they would talk about the 6 turning and 4 burning, and there was some really good footage of B-36s in that movie. Really neat.
Wasn't Jimmy Stewart a real general?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was.
I thought so.
Hey, Ray, how you doing?
People from Hollywood weren't communists. They actually went off to war and did what they were supposed to do. And sports people, too, like Ted Williams.
On the bottom.
World War II and Korea.
And 1 DVL.
Yeah, sort of like guys like Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter, only different. An actual real hero in the flesh, batted .400, and was a Marine fighter pilot. So, go figure. I guess we changed.
406.
You know, my father took me to a Red Sox game. I was in 3rd grade. And it was against the Yankees, and what I remember, because back then the TV sets were black and white, what I remember was, and it was a night game, I came out, we sat in box seats on the first base side, and it came out, and just how, you just bombarded with green at Fenway Park, all the seats, the green monster, the wall, the grass is green. But in that game was, Ted Williams and a bunch of the Red Sox at the time. But in the Yankees, Yogi Berra was catching, Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris. It was Tom Tresh, I think, was second base. And I'm thinking back, going, wow, what a memorable game that was. I was in 3rd grade, but I could still remember it. It was pretty neat.
Hey, I have a question. If a guy hits a long ball at Fenway and it hits the green monster and bounces off and the guy catches it in the air, is that an out or no?
No, it's a base hit. Or if the guy can try to throw him out, but no, the ball's in play off the wall.
Oh, okay.
And Ted Williams played left field, and he knew how to play that wall. There would be balls hit off that wall that he knew right where to stand and catch it, and he held guys to singles that might have been doubles or triples in other parks.
Yeah, how long's that green wall been up? That same wall? Has it always been the same one?
I don't know. I imagine they got to refurbish it every now and then, but, you know, because the street that goes by that part of the, you know, where they shoehorned it in there, Lansdowne Street, I think it is, you know, that's been there since the park was built. So, I mean, they may do recovering of it or something. Now they actually have seats on the top of it, which before it was just a fence.
Yeah, no, the reason I ask is because I've gone there a couple times in my life, and I bring my binoculars, and I looked at that wall, and there's thousands or hundreds and hundreds of dents in it. And I was wondering if those were all original dents, like back from the 30s and the 40s.
Yeah, that's a good question. That'd be neat if it was. See if, you know, Babe Ruth put a dent in there, and, you know, Lou Gehrig.
It's funny, the day I was there, I just got these binoculars, these real good Steiner 10-power binoculars, so I brought them with me, and I'm not really into baseball. It was with my kid and my ex-wife, and I was just looking around the park, you know, and you'd be surprised how many people I recognized out there that day that are sitting in the stands. I mean, I must have recognized 3 or 4 different people, and one of them was the Duke. Dukakis and Kitty were down there.
The Duke, man, there's a name from the past.
Yep. What would you do if Willie Horton raped your wife?
Yeah, the Duke and Willie Horton, unbelievable. That and a picture of him in an Abrams tank.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it? With that stupid hat he had on.
Yeah, it was. Whoever advised him to do that, geez, he looked almost like a puppet or something.
He looked like somebody should hit him over the head and play whack-a-mole.
That guy posed no challenge whatsoever to the people that Bush had helping him run, that Lee Atwater guy and them. Those guys were fierce electoral competitors. And the Dukakis was just like a bunch of kindergartners running against them guys.
Well, the truth of the matter is he was definitely not presidential material. Where George Bush was definitely presidential material.
Yeah, Bush, you know, you look at his portfolio. You know, in terms of service, a congressman, director of Central Intelligence, an ambassador, a vice president. Guy had a pretty impressive portfolio.
I would say. Now, there's the man who knew all about flying saucers.
He was a CIA operative. It's a guarantee, that whole Hartkin oil business thing. That Hartkin Exploration Company was all a ruse. So they could use that as a basis for spying on Cuba.
Yeah, because the director of Central Intelligence isn't a temporary employee.
Well, if Trump gets elected to the second term, which I can't see how he won't, I'm going to personally write him a letter and ask him to find out about flying saucers.
We ought to invite him to make an appearance since he makes a telephone appearance on the Sean Hannity show. We ought to invite him to come in and say hello on the world famous Toad Harbor Net.
Now that would get us. That would be the world famous Toad Harbor Net.
Yeah, and let him know that the people on this net were staunch supporters of him, even before he became the president.
Oh yeah, well, I thought this over 100 times. We're 97% Trump, at least, maybe even a bit more.
JC3 KXP.
Well, I'm definitely pro-Trump. WAHWE.
Well, everybody here is. There's only one guy for sure I know that's not. Okay, go ahead, Tom. Hello, how are you?
Doing good. How am I sounding tonight?
You're sounding pretty cruddy.
Really? What's wrong?
I don't know. You just sound like you're running one of your old radios.
No, I'm running my buddy Dan's brand new 7300.
Oh, okay. Well, then it's not set up right. Get into the menu and put the treble on +4 and the bass on. The bass is probably already on 0, and put the processor on.
All right, I got to find out how to get in there.
Yeah, I mean, those radios sound great. It just needs the audio, figure out how to get into that menu. Put it on +4 or +5 on the treble, and is the processor on or off?
I'm sure it's on.
Well, you sure or you're not sure? Wait a second. We have a world-renowned expert, Toad Harbor expert right here. Russ, take over.
All right, Tom. To turn on your compression, you just hit the function button. It should show it in there.
Okay, believe it or not, all right, I'll hit the function button.
Yeah, in the middle at the bottom, you have like 2 rows of buttons, and the compression should be smack dab in the middle on the bottom row. It'll say COMP on the left-hand side of your display once you do that.
Okay, I just turned COMP on.
Okay, what's the level set at? Tell them how to find the level.
Yeah, hit your multi-button, Tom, and third menu item down will be compression. You touch the screen there, and then you can adjust it. I got mine set to 5.
Set yours to 4, Tom. 4.
Okay, I just don't see where it says where that's at.
Hit the multi knob, push that. That's also a button. You push that in, and it'll display menus on the right-hand side of the screen.
Okay, I have that. Compression is up on 8, and mic gain is 55%.
Put the compression on 4.
Compression's on 4.
Okay, now get into the bass and treble. They'll tell them how to do that and get them on +4.
You got to hit your menu button, and then you'll see set, and you want to get to those menus.
Hey Ray, can you relay for him?
I don't have to relay.
I can't hear him.
You can't hear Russ?
No.
Oh my God, that's hard to believe. Russ, are you running high power?
I have high noise level.
Okay, well go ahead. So Russ, tell me what to do again to get into the setting for treble.
Yeah, I'm letting my amp warm up here, Ray. He's got to hit the menu button and then go into set, and then the menu item will be it'll be the tone control menus.
Well, your amp's an AL82. It's already warmed up. Turn it on. Five seconds.
KC1RS. You copying me there, Tom?
Yeah, I hear you now, Russ.
All right, you gotta click on your menu, and when you click on the menu, you'll see the set button. You want to get into the set menus. You'll see tone control right in those menus.
I supposed to do with that tone control?
You hit that, and then it'll say RX or TX. You want to go into the TX side. And then you'll go to SSB, the sideband.
I got any word yet now on the treble.
Come back.
+4 on the treble.
Yeah, I've got mine set at +3, and I've got my bass set at +1. But you could probably run neutral on that bass setting if you're using just a hand mic.
It's an SM30.
Okay, well I'm using the SM30 and I'm +3 on the treble and +1 on the bass.
Okay, I set this up the same way. How does it sound?
Yeah, it sounds pretty good to me. I'm running my compression at 5 and my I'm running my mic gain at 42%, but anything around 50 is okay. I wouldn't jack it up too high on the compression, though.
But those mics have an amplifier built in, don't they?
Yeah, well, they get that phantom power back from the radio, so they probably are getting a boost. But the only thing you can switch on and off is there's a high cut switch on the bottom of it. I leave mine alone.
There's no gain setting for the amp?
There's a gain setting on the at the base of the mic. I never touched mine.
Right. Well, yours is very hot, and that one he's on is very hot. So I think you'd be better off getting on that gain control on the bottom of the microphone and backing it down just a hair, Tom, if you can find it.
Yeah, it's a little pot in the bottom there. You got to get a tiny screwdriver. I haven't really messed with mine.
Yeah, I just turned it down a little.
Okay, that sounds pretty good right there.
Okay, now is there a delay on this for an amplifier?
Yes, there is. Let me find that in the menus for you. You want to go, you go to menu, then set, and then you're going to go into the function menus. And see, you'll scroll up and down, you'll see TX delay in there.
Okay, I got it at 20 milliseconds.
Go as long as you can. What's the longest one?
Hold on, I'll find it again.
Yeah, you got 25 or 30 in the menu.
So go to the longest one you can. Go to 30.
Yeah. Actually, you can go pretty short with that. I was only looking at the end of the menu, but I got mine set at 30.
Yeah, I just set this at 30.
Okay, then you're probably all set.
All right, thank you guys.
And the radio sounds much better now.
Believe it or not, this is the first time this has been on the air.
It's a virgin.
Not anymore.
I'll leave it up to you. Now, be careful. You can't take that in the hot tub, Tom.
Why? That was going. Why?
Now, We're not stupid, Tom. We know what goes on in that hot tub at night.
I won't say a word.
Yeah, that stuff in the hot tub could gum up the circuitry, but I don't even want to discuss the stuff that's in that hot tub.
Yeah, plug the filter.
Hello, Doc. How's things by the pond? WG2E.
Hey, not too bad. Papers are real quiet, though, but it's cold out there.
They're freezing their little you-know-what's off.
There ain't no doubt about that. It snowed like crazy this morning.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you, Ray.
Okay, Tom, are you running the amp now?
No. This isn't mine. I'm not putting my amp on this.
Are you at your house?
Yes, I am. The guy brought it over and says, asked me if I could get it adjusted for him.
Okay, sounds pretty good. It doesn't sound as good as your radio. That's why I knew you weren't on your radio, but it sounds much better than it did.
Well, thanks.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna get back on the old 7600.
Okay, see you later.
Hey, Doc, a couple days ago you were talking and you mentioned you were using Raspberry Pis. What are you doing with them?
Oh, man, everything.
A little whipped cream and some good crust, and away you go.
Oh, sorry, the 2-meter radio took off and I missed what you said.
Oh, he thinks it's something you eat.
Oh, I tried that. I like strawberry pie much better. Rhubarb or apple, Raspberry Pis are just itty-bitty little computers.
I got a couple of them here, and as a matter of fact, that's kind of got me into to Linux. I got one of them I just play with from now and then. I got another one set up running Pi-hole as my DNS server, and it takes out all the ads. It works great.
Cool. Well, I got one on a 2-foot tank, and it drives down the hallway, spins a turn around, shoots a gun a couple times, comes back. I got one for a Wally, but I don't have the Wally. I have 2 All-Star nodes running with Raspberry Pis, and I run OctoPi. It's a printer program for 3D for my boys' 3D printer. Man, there's so many uses.
Okay, yeah. So, well, you're talking to a fellow user. I was figuring out some way of maybe running a bunch of remote coax switches and get some automatic switching or remote switching going here for coaxes and radios and whatnot.
For what?
There's a 8-port switch you can pick up on Amazon real cheap. It's got 8 relays on it. Plugs right in the Pi. You can do anything.
Yeah, I've looked at a lot of those hat things.
I don't know, they're a great little computer. You plug them into a little 7-inch touch screen, and you're on the web or anything you want. It's just amazing what they can do.
Yeah, I thought so too, and that got me interested in Linux, as I said. So I got several of my old laptops running Ubuntu, and I got this desktop I got here in the shack is Windows and Linux Mint. So I've been having a good time with all of that.
Too bad they didn't have a Raspberry Pi in 1969.
That's the year I got married. Oh.
Hey, Carl.
Yeah, they're pretty impressive. I'm trying to get one around I need a few more pieces, but I want to do FL Digi and an FT8 with Raspberry Pi portable with a 706.
Those some of those digital modes are a little bit more than the Pi can handle, but it'll do a lot. They're a lot of fun.
That new Pi 3 B Plus is pretty peppy.
You had a Model 3 now, is it?
Yeah, well, now it's Model 3 Plus or B Plus or whatever is the latest.
Yeah, I got a 2 and a B Plus. I forget. I don't know. I have to look it up every time. There's a place where they got the pictures of all the boards, and you can tell which one you have by how it is.
Hey, Carl.
Yes, sir.
How long you been running Linux over there?
Oh, I don't know, 3-4 years, maybe 5.
Yeah, I first started fooling around with it in 1996.
Oh, well, yeah, well, I used to use Unix on, when I first got online, and I had, you signed up with your ISP and you used dial-up and all that, so, I was using the Unix there just to do things I needed to do when I was connected.
Yeah, my first, I was using the library system, and when I was in Florida to get online, and it was all text-based, and they gave you a shell account, and it was a Sun Solaris box. And then later I got onto an ISP, and they also gave you a shell account too on a Sun Solaris box. They were the early goers. And then later I started playing around with Linux, and I never looked back. I run Windows here for gaming purposes, and then but I've got like VirtualBox, Oracle's VirtualBox, and I run my Windows 10 stuff out of a VirtualBox.
Well, yeah, I'd be almost tempted just to go strictly Linux, but there's some things that that are just on Windows. Plus, my mom, she has Windows on her computer, so it's Windows 10. So I'm using Windows 10 here and Outlook and all that stuff and Word, just so I know it well enough to help her. But, it's easy enough because we got TeamViewer on her computer, so I can look over her shoulder and see what she's doing or fix things while she's sleeping, stuff like that.
What do you mean by gaming?
Hey, Wine works pretty damn good, man.
Yeah, but not for the games that I was playing, the 3D games. But some of the stuff Wine works pretty decent with. But I could never get my analyzer software to work with Wine. It just staunchly refused.
Well, it's something I never tried. But I have Windows boxes and dual boot boxes, but most of them are Linux or Sun OS, which is the forerunner to Solaris. I never liked Solaris very well.
Yeah, it was, I was an IBM AIX guy for quite a few years. I used to travel around the country setting up big Unix environments and stuff, and for big Oracle database systems and whatnot. So I did that for a long time. I was a data storage guy, and I did Unix boxes, and I was IBM certified system administrator for a long time on the AIX operating system, which is their version of Unix. It's kind of a mixed bag of BSD and System 5 stuff.
Yeah, I'm familiar. Yeah, that's cool. Well, nice to hear somebody that's been down the road there. I worked for an internet service provider for 20 years. In fact, right here at my foot is a Sun Ultra Spark.
Yeah, I got rid of all my. When I moved, we relocated about 4.5 years ago, almost 5 years ago. So I got rid of my. I had a 3500, Enterprise 3500, and I had a bunch of Ultra boxes, 5s and 10s, and I ditched all that. The only RISC box I got in the house now is an IBM 640. It's a Power 4 box, so it doesn't do like logical partitioning or anything like that. But every now and then, I fire it up and play around with it just to try to stay current.
I got a couple of Dell PowerEdge 1800s for servers here. They run Paraxeons and they're pretty peppy. And they're both running CentOS, which is Red Hat derivative.
Yeah, that's I ran Red Hat's desktop operating system there up until version 9. And then they came out with Advanced Server, and then they went to Enterprise. When they were at 7.2 back in the early 2000s there, I took a run at getting my RHCE, but my work was paying for the whole thing, and then I got right up to the last couple of classes that I needed, and then it just got too busy, and I wasn't able to follow through on it.
Yeah, I'm high on the frequencies. I love computers. I can talk about them all day and night.
Yeah, I'm sure it's pretty boring to Ray though, so I'll let him have the frequency back. KC1RS.
Good, Randy. You still in there?
Okay, I gotta know. I just gotta know what's the difference between the good Randy and the bad Randy. And Ray, you do terrible Patsy Cline.
Well, the bad Randy would be KB2ZVP, and the good Randy is W2KRY. So anyway, I just want to make sure we're still on for tomorrow. And Steve, KA2EXB, I'll see you in the morning. Did we scare Ray away?
The Raspberry Pi got him either got him hungry or scared. Yeah, it looks like I got a chance of rain and snow here before 9 a.m. tomorrow, Carl.
Yeah, well, I'm figuring leaving here at 8 to go out to Herkimer, so hopefully it won't be too bad.
Have a good trip. Does it take you about an hour from where you are?
Yeah, Google Maps says an hour, and the nav in my car said an hour and 9 minutes.
Yeah, that's not bad. You still out there, Carl?
I am, Steve. Looks like we're still on. I talked to good Randy. He's going, so I was just going to text bad Randy and make sure he was still coming too.
Oh, okay. Very good. Great.
Okay, so we'll see you a little before 8.
7:45.
Sounds good to me. WG2E on the top.
KA2EXB Albany.
KT2D, and I'm going to step out for a little bit, Carl. I'll be back in a bit.
Okay, Bob.
Sounded like there was a 2EXB.
Who's that? Sometime he's giving his speech, he's got everybody all fired up. In Wisconsin.
I'm back. Anybody been looking for me?
Everybody.
Yeah, I even picked on you and you weren't here. Gee.
I was out checking out the shortwave broadcast.
Well, all I said bad was you make a terrible Patsy Cline.
Crazy?
Yeah. I haven't been on YouTube in over a year, but I was following a link to antennas and I ended up there, so... Oh, God.
And 3 or more.
Where the hell you been?
Messing with the beverages, making them a little longer, tweaking them a little better.
You're losing your mind with those stupid things.
No, there's always room for improvement.
You're out there in the dark?
Oh, yeah. I've got a flashlight. It's never total dark down here, Ray. I live in the hood.
You mean it's bright out even in the middle of the night?
There's a car wash, a billboard, and a Turkey Hill right across the alley from the majority of my property in the middle where the beverages are, and they all have mercury vapor lights on. So you can walk around out there and actually see the ground. I mean, it's dark, but it's not totally dark.
No wonder why you have noise.
Yeah.
Why don't you sell and move out to the country?
Yeah. The problem is that this property is absolutely worthless.
Not for a business.
Not allowed to have business. This is zoned resident only.
Well, Christ, if it's right against the business, they could probably get it changed.
Paid for. There's no mortgage.
Yeah, but what happens if a business could move in there and they're willing to give you like $2.5 million for it?
No, maybe I'll think about it, but that's not happening.
Okay, don't say I didn't try.
Nobody wants to come here. You're always from here. This is one of those places like Detroit.
You can't get there from here.
They might want to sell pot out of that location.
They already do. Just right down the alley here at the apartments, right beside the car wash, you can get anything you want. It's drive-up service. You don't even have to get out of your car, because right there's the door right by the other alley that goes out to the main drag. You just drive down, turn the corner around the telephone pole, pull up to the door there, and just give the secret wink, nudge, honk horn, or whatever they do, and they come right out and service you right at your window at your car. Anything you'd like. What do you want? What's it going to be tonight? You want some PCP? You want some heroin? You want some crack? You want some... They got the good stuff. And you know what's really sad about that? Not the fact that I live that close, but the police station is 2 blocks over there.
Yeah, of course. What do you expect? That's probably the best place in town to do illegal stuff.
And they know what goes on. They don't do anything about it. They don't care.
Welcome to America.
They're probably making a little bit of the cut.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like I said, they're stealing manure down here. I mean, what do you want?
So I guess Randy ain't coming back tonight, huh? How about Tom? Tom, are you back with your radio? KC3, KXB, N1 DBL. Hello?
I sent Randy a text to see if he was still going for breakfast. I haven't got an answer yet.
Uh-oh. I think he's up to no good.
Well, there was something about wine and a big dinner, so he's probably snoring on the couch.
Yeah, probably. I had nice cod fillet, fresh, because it's all fresh. They just got it in, and asparagus tonight.
Oh, baby, I'm waiting for the fresh asparagus to start here at the vegetable place.
I bet you that'd be nice and yummy if you get it fresh.
Oh yeah, I go in there to get it, and they're just like pulling up with the tractor and putting it on ice there.
Nothing better than that.
Do you like the little thin ones, or you like the big fat ones?
No, I like the little thin ones better. I think they're tastier.
Yeah, but you just don't go too far to the bottom for the big ones.
Yeah, I cut these down maybe 2 inches off the bottom. Then I could eat the whole thing.
Well, the way I do it, and I was told, is you take it and you grab a hold of it at the top and the bottom, and you bend it into a U, and where it snaps, that's the good part, and you throw away the other end of it.
Yeah, asparagus has a real short season. I think that's why they're so expensive.
I don't even ever buy it, hardly ever, at the grocery store. I only get the fresh stuff here in the spring.
Do you soak your asparagus in water before you snap it open? Over. K2AYA.
Knock it out of the plastic bag, out of the refrigerator, and snap it right then.
Yeah, I agree with the snapping, because they do the very same thing at the bottom. Grab the bottom and then maybe go 2 or 3 inches up, and wherever it snaps is the correct spot. But I have found that if you put it in some fresh water before you cook it, just a few minutes of fresh, good, clean water, that it helps the asparagus a whole lot. Over.
Hey, what did you do to your signal? Now you're back up to 10/9.
That's worth trying.
I had an intermittent short in my other microphone, along with, apparently, I'm not sure, but I also redid the connection with some deoxys and so forth onto my Alcoa antenna. Back to you, Ray, K2AYA.
Right, well, you're usually about an S6, maybe once in a while you were a 7. Now you're 10 dB/9, so that was that.
Well, I hope this is readable. Eventually when the money comes, I'll get an amp and very cautiously, run maybe 200 watts or so.
Well, you just make real good solid connections. Whatever you do, don't buy one of those amps, because Randy had a talk with the guy there that tests all those amps, and most of those expensive amps are not very good.
Yeah, I know, and I might actually go for the money and default to Elcraft only because it's like it's an extension of the radio. Once you set it up, that's it. You just run the radio and the amp follows it like a little puppy dog perfectly. So maybe that's what I'll do. Over.
But all the amps do that now. The Palstar does that. You could hook that right up to that radio and do the same thing. They all do it. If I was going to waste a lot of money on an amp, I'd buy the Palstar. If you want to get one as cheap as possible, buy the one from MFJ. That MFJ amp you could probably buy pretty reasonable now, but I don't think I'd buy the one from that company. They're crazy money, and they just don't work all that great. Anyway, I think I'm going to go to bed. I figured tonight would be a big night in ham radio, and it's just not turning out to be that way. Anyway, N1 DBL. Tom, if you came back yet, say something.
Hey, it was a good night. I liked all the airplane talk.
Take it easy, Ray, and good evening, and try and soak that asparagus in clean water, and it makes a really big difference.
And Ray, that tri-wing thing you was talking about was a DR1.
Yes, I think it is. Anyway, they got one of those down there. I don't know if it's an original or somebody built it, but, they're very small.
Hey, there's a place in Rhinebeck called the Old Rhinebeck Aerodrome, and they fly all those old planes there, and they do like a little skit and everything with them. It's pretty cool.
So, Bob, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
No, the other Bob, General Bob.
He said he'd be back.
Okay.
Did you get your extra yet, Ray?
No, didn't even look at it.
That wonderful radio you have, and you're so restricted. Come on now, let's get with it. Over.
I'm not restricted at all on 160.
Yeah, but it's a fine net, and everybody seems to be nice guys and so forth. But sometimes you just want to go elsewhere, and free yourself up.
There's not that many places on the other bands I'd have to go. I wouldn't do that unless everybody on the Toad Harbor net decided to do it, so they all got a new frequency or something. Then I might think about it. But right now, no, I'm not interested. I went through enough crap over the last 3 or 4 months.
Ray, I had a thought about your antenna. I'm not sure if it works at radio frequency or not, but, voltage and current, they tend to divide in conductors. Now, I don't know if regular electrical theory is applicable to radio frequency. But I was wondering, being that you have a dipole that has a split more or less on each pole, on each half of it, I'm just wondering if dividing the voltage and current on each of those conductors, and I'm wondering, are they in phase, out of phase, do they add or do they buck each other? It was just a thought.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. Are you talking about the fact that when I took down the 4-wire, I just put the wires together?
Did you just add the 2 wires together and now they're essentially one conductor, or let's say 2 conductors in parallel right next to each other?
Yeah, but they're touching each other, so essentially they're just one conductor, I would say.
Very good, because that's what I was going to suggest. Before, when you had essentially a big V on each end of your dipole, I was wondering if each individual conductor being separated, if they're additive or maybe one subtracted from the other. But now that you have them together,
That's any better, Ray?
Yeah, okay, Bob. Hang on. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, that's any better?
Yeah, sounds better. What, the MFJ amp you're talking about? Well, like I said, if I was going to spend a lot of money on an amp, I'd buy the Palstar. Without any doubt at all, I'd buy a Palstar.
You're absolutely right, but they're about 1,000 more than I can go. So there it is. That's my reality that I have to pay attention to.
Right. Well, I told you a long time ago, buy one of those old Dentrons. You can buy them for $350, $350 to $450, and they're a great amp. Bruce up here has two of them, and they work great.
There's a guy that's got an old National, and it's got RCA 1222 ceramic Tetrodes in it, and he's trying to push that one out. He's a local guy, I can go take a look at it, but I do not believe he's a ham, so therefore I would not have any way of running it to see if it actually works. And I'm sure that he's going to want top dollar because the Tetrodes look like they're perfect, but I'm just wondering if you ever heard of that one.
Yeah, it's an NCL 2000. It's a great amp. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on 160.
Well, there it is.
And those are RCA 8122s, and you can't get them anymore. So I would probably stay away from it.
That was my initial. I looked up the Tetrodes, and they're not available, and so therefore I decided no deal. I'll just hold out.
Right, but it doesn't work on one. That's only 80 through 10.
Yeah, so it's a no-go.
That's for sure. Other than that, they're a pretty good amp. If the guy had plenty of tubes with it or something, it'd be okay. But then again, you can't use it here, so what good is it? So, Tom, is that the first time you ever saw a 7300 up close?
Yeah, it's the first time I ever got to touch one.
So what did you think?
For the money, I can say I'm probably going to have one.
Yeah, they're a hell of a radio. I mean, that's a hell of a radio for $1,000, and no two ways about that. But that, the receiver's iffy if you have any strong signals nearby. But if you're out in the woods there, that would probably be fine. It'd probably work with no problem. But the only thing you got to worry about is if you're in a spot like I am with high-powered transmitters around you.
Yeah, there's nothing like that here. We're so far in the woods here, they have to pipe in the old sunshine.
Well, then you could probably buy any halfway decent radio, and they'd work great.
I read that 7300s are taking over the used market and distorting the prices of all the other radios because 7300s has...
I know I'm going to get one.
And as far as the overload, there's a possibility that you could get an outboard pre-selector.
If you don't run the preamp, you probably don't need an outboard pre-selector. Because with my radio here, it would live here fine without the pre-selector on. If I didn't run the preamp. But if you want to run the preamp, forget it. It just would immediately, the second you turn the thing on, it's overloaded. So, and then, like I said, the long and short of the story is my Pro 3 didn't overload, my 7600 didn't overload, and the 7610 overload. So as far as I'm concerned, it's useless.
I was talking to an electrical engineer, and he says that he mixes 2 parts graphite, powdered graphite, 2 parts powdered graphite to 1 part white lithium grease, and that's what he strongly believes in as a very, very good thing to use. Color?
Well, I'm using 4 parts graphite. I'm just following what Palstar says. 4 parts graphite to 1 part grease, and I greased the unit with that, cleaned it all up the other day and greased it, and it cured the noise problem, and it tunes, the crank handle turns much easier, so it must work.
K89 CAT. The rod that has the little circular follower, is that how it works?
Yep, you clean them off real good, clean all the grease off, and then you just re-grease them and then spin the thing up and down, and you're all set.
K89 CAT.
Yeah, the 9 station, go ahead.
Yeah, this is K89 CAT here, Sweetwater Lake, Indiana. Is Randy out there?
Randy went to have dinner a couple hours ago and never came back. So if he's going to get back on, probably in the next 20 or 30 minutes.
I will. Tell him if you hear him in there that Ron said hi, K89CHC. He'll know who it is. So thanks for letting me jump in there. It's K89CHC, Sweetwater Lake, Indiana. I'll be quick.
Okay, very good. Anyway, I'm going to go to bed, everybody. 7-3. I will see you guys probably tomorrow night, N1 DBL.
Okay, Ray, we'll see you later. We'll talk to you tomorrow and let you know who you missed at breakfast.
Good night, Ray. Hey, thank you again. 73 is KC3 KXB. Y'all rest easy now.
Okay, got about a minute or so for the amp to cool down, then I'm going to shut everything down. Don't forget, everybody, very important, very, very important. Cut your, open your antenna connections every night. Disconnect them because, man, I'll tell you what, I was at my friend's gas station about 3 days ago. There was this repair shop 2 days ago. Was it 2 days ago, maybe? And we got the most ferocious lightning storm. There were supposed to be tornadoes in the area, lightning all over the place. His power got knocked out, and thank God my radio was disconnected because it would have been fried. And the other thing is, if you guys have been following, can you guys all hear me now?
Roger, roger.
Yeah, I shut the amp down. I had my, my heart has been skipping beats like mad and everything, and I ran that down, and that's from flour. That's from eating flour, because I stopped. I kind of thought that might be the problem, so I stopped there. Anything to do with wheat, and that cured me instantly. Blood pressure came way down, and the skipping heart came way down. So it's either gluten or it's whatever the hell they make wheat out of nowadays. So that was a simple cure. Okay, I'm going to bed. N1 DBL.
It could be the pesticide that they're using on whatever brand that you're buying, over.
Yeah, it could be a lot of stuff. I don't know. This stuff's just crap. You shouldn't eat flour. That's what it comes down to. Maybe when you're young you can do it, but not when you're old. Okay, good night all. 7-3 N1 DBL.
Good night, Ray.
Is that you, Bruce?
Yep.
Bruce, why do you wait until now to come in?
I was on the telephone.
Oh, no. With 50 Cent?
50 Cent? Who's that?
$50.
$50? No, a full dollar.
Yeah, that's who you were talking to, right?
Hey, I was talking to Eric Dollard, yeah.
Well, that was my little joke. 50 Cent?
Dollard. D-O-L-L-A-R-D.
Oh, Dollard. Okay. So did he get everything squared away?
No, just that we go off on different things. But he's working on his presentation, and I'm working on the model that he's going to use.
Is that going to be a spark transmitter?
I don't know. It might be. We haven't decided what mode we're going to run it at yet. We have to figure out that. We'll probably use both modes.
Well, what mode did the original guy use?
Spark pulse transformer.
Right. Okay. So that's what you should use too.
Yeah. Well, we probably should, but I think we're going to have to because that's what they have out there. Unless I can come up with some sort of a linear that will work down at that frequency.
Well, you can always hook the oscillator from a Kenwood 890 to it, and that should stabilize it.
Yeah, 890. I could. Well, the 7300 will do it. It's just not enough power.
What did they do for power back in the old days?
Well, when this experiment was done, it was a power station, ran on 133 cycles per second, and I think he had 1,000 volts or something delivered to the lab. He stepped that up to 50,000.
But it had no tubes?
Oh, God, no. There were no tubes back then. This was pre vacuum tube era.
So how did they make the frequency? How did they get any frequency out of it?
Resonant circuits, capacitors and inductors.
So the thing must have been how broad? 300 kilohertz?
Well, it was fairly high Q, so it wasn't, there was all kinds of transients, but who knows? He had no real way of measuring frequency. It was all calculated by knowledge of the values of the components and the lengths of wire.
No wonder why the aliens didn't come around until later. They probably would have crashed their spacecraft.
Yeah, well, Marconi's early stuff had no tuning in it, and that's why none of it ever worked. It was just they just broadbanded. They just sent out a bunch of static in hopes that somebody would hear it.
Yeah, I know. Wow, that's incredible. Okay, anyway, I'm getting tired here. I'm going to go to bed. 7-3, everybody. See you tomorrow. N1 DBL.
See you, Ray. Yeah, I am too. I had the rig on. I just turned it up, and I'm getting ready to go myself. 7-3, KD1MW.
Good evening, K2AYA, off and clear.
I'm going to get out of here, too. Going to go upstairs, do a couple things, and then I'll get some nice sleep before the trip tomorrow. See everybody for breakfast. WG2E.
G2E, you're 25 over in New Jersey.
Okay, is that Bob? This is Carl here.
Yeah, hi, Carl. Yeah, this is Bob down in Jersey. This is on the Alcoa special antenna.
Okay, you're just the S9 exactly here.
Is audio clear, well-defined?
A little bit muddy, maybe, but Q5 copy.
Okay, so I'll reduce the bass a little bit.
All right, well, I'm going to get out of here. We'll talk to you and everybody else tomorrow, the next day, whatever. WG2E, I'm clear.
Bob, this is KD1MW in Rhode Island. You got a good signal up here this time.
Thank you. I was just wondering about the audio, over.
Yeah, it's readable. Maybe just you could drop the bass just a touch, sharpen it up a little.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. And you have a very, very clear signal down here. Oddly enough, this rain gutter is oriented directly north-south, but the downspouts are probably the end of the lobe, and that's probably what's pushing out north and south, over.
Well, I don't know. It's probably just shooting straight up in the air on this band, so it's all reflected.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's only about 20 feet up.
Yeah, okay. Well, I figure I'd give you a report because I haven't heard you so clear in the past.
Well, it's a new microphone, and the microphone prior to that had some problems, over.
Yeah, okay. Well, whatever you did, I think it's an improvement.
Thanks a lot, and good evening. K2AYA.
Okay, 7-3, KD1MW.
KTRY. Anybody left?
Everybody still here. KT Tootie,